Joining us now from the nation's capital to talk everything from the U.S. domestic policy to foreign policy is Tennessee Representative Mark Green. Congressman, thank you very much for joining us. So I do want to start first here in the U.S. and kind of work our way back outward. Last night, we saw the New Hampshire primaries. We see the GOP kind of standing firm behind President Trump. In fact, record turnout in the New Hampshire primary as far as an incumbent president goes. What is your response to right now of how Democrats are leading their presidential elections and the GOP response?
Sure. You can see that the Democrats have decided to basically go full on for socialism. Bernie Sanders won, and it's clear he's out there promising $1.5 trillion for student debt to be waived, $3 trillion a year extra on the deficit just for health care. The giveaways never end with Bernie Sanders, and that's what the Democrats have chosen. So it is interesting to see the shift between Biden and Klobuchar. I think she's sort of picking up the moderate steam, spreading it between her and Buttigieg. So it's just interesting to see the dynamics coming out of New Hampshire. Of course, with the vice president dumping the race there, even before the votes were cast, I think that was a telltale sign for him.
And, you're on the House Committee of Homeland Security. You're also on the House Oversight and Reform Committee with a focus on national security, that subcommittee there. And one issue that a lot of Americans right now are paying attention to is the coronavirus that's, of course, originated in China and has made its way to the United States. What is your response so far to how the U.S. has handled that situation?
I think the U.S. has done a great job. We typed the virus very quickly. The CDC had it and then mapped the virus very quickly. We've sent response teams there. We're quarantining people very, very quickly after we realized what was happening there. It's still a 14-day quarantine. We've had no deaths in the United States. I think we're in a good place. Of course, our health care system is significantly better than what they have in Wuhan, but I think the president's done a great job. I think the CDC's done a great job. We're in a good place.
And, I want to stay on that idea of kind of national security a little bit, especially here at home. Of course, this is in response. Iran has kind of made threats against the United States dating back to the killing of General Qasem Soleimani. They said that they can't necessarily match with military might. A lot of people were kind of maybe scared about sleeper cells or cybersecurity type of concerns here in the United States. How do you think the U.S. is prepared to handle such a situation?
Well, I think we're probably the best prepared in the world for handling cyber. Our cyber command is fantastic. Attribution is the real big issue with cyber. We have an effective offensive cyber, but the real challenge is figuring out who hit you. And our capacity there, our capability there is probably best in the world. So I'm very confident that where we sit today is significantly better than even just a few years ago. And you look at the Equifax hit from China, we are just exponentially better than we were then.
So, of course, last week, the administration released its Middle East peace plan, and a big focus of that was kind of raising up the Palestinian population through more economic means. And, of course, on the other side of that coin, you do have people like Iran who have supported terror, not only in the Palestinian territories, but throughout the Middle East. Do you think the administration took the right approach regarding that issue?
Yeah, I think so. What we're seeing emerge in the Middle East is something that we haven't seen in some time, and that's sort of a bipolarity to the region. You've got the Iran axis, Yemen, Iran, Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon. And then on the other axis, you've got Egypt, Israel, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia. And that bipolar axis kind of reflects back to the era of the Cold War. The strategy that worked in the Cold War was containment and rollback from Ronald Reagan. And that seems to be exactly what Trump is doing. He's pushing hard on the sanctions, forcing them to compete economically where they can't, and basically containing any of their attacks. I think he's doing the right strategy with regards to Iran. In the rest of the Middle East, getting them off of a mineral-based economy is probably one of the best things that can happen. A lot of terrorism, membership in terrorism flows from high economic problems. Where there's a high unemployment rate, the youth join terrorist groups. In the United States, where there's a high unemployment rate, they get involved in gangs. So if we can help them evolve their economy, we will help prevent terrorism.
Yeah, we kind of threw a lot of complex topics at you throughout this segment, but you're the perfect guy to kind of walk us through them, everything from the elections, coronavirus, foreign affairs. We really appreciate you coming on tonight and giving us a guidance through these complex issues. Thank you very much, Representative.
Yeah, thanks for having me.